So after scouring the YouTubes for a guide on how to use admin controls and commands in Squad, I couldn't find anything, so I had to learn myself. And now I'm going to make my own video to fill that void of knowledge, teach you guys. I personally use this to make thumbnails, I test out different things and practice my flying, recording video scenes with the admin cam, and using the admin cam for squad ops camera usage, or just if you want to be an admin. But you can use it as well, so obviously if you're going to be an admin on a server, you want to know the commands and the controls, or even if you're not, you can use it for messing around, you can use it for testing, and if you're going to play your own squad ops, play squad ops with us, then you can use it there. Throughout the video I'm going to go over the different types of commands, I'm going to go over the admin cam usage, how to spawn in different vehicles, and all the other commands like the typical admin stuff like kicks, bans, warnings, and then all the other niche commands you wouldn't normally, you might not use as often, but still good to know. And yeah, if you're looking for any specific guide, go down to the description and there'll be some timestamps in there for each command. Also, this is going to be extra quick fire. If you want to see other tutorials from me like this and my mortar video, then subscribe for more content. And if you want to suggest some more, I'd really love some suggestions in the comments as to what I should do as more tutorials. I've got an idea for an overall tips video, but that's about it so far. Anyways, so yeah, enjoy the video. Before we jump into the commands themselves, it's also important to note that there are different types of commands. So we have admin commands and public commands. Public commands are ones that anyone can do in the console command at any time, and I'll leave those to the end because they're not as useful. There are some uses, some of them are good, but they'll be at the end of the video. And the admin commands, which are your typical stuff, anything you need special privileges for, which are known as admin access levels, which I'm not going to touch on too much at the minute. I'll bring a table up on the screen of the different levels and their descriptions, but that's about all I'm going to touch on. So you can do some of these, you can do all of them in single player is what I'm trying to say, but you can't do all of them on a server unless you have the right privileges. So I'll start with the one that I think most people are probably going to come in for, which is the spectator camera, or the admin camera, however you want to call it. And that is the one I use most often when I make my screenshots. And to enable that, if you're on a server with the privilege, or you're in the range on single player or flying, you do Shift plus P and that will throw you into the admin camera. Once you're in the admin cam, you can use your normal W, A, S and D achievements to move laterally, forward and back, left and right. And then you can use your mouse to pan yourself around, look up and down like normal. And then you'll use your space to go up an elevation, and your control will lower you. And you can also use Shift to give yourself a speed boost to get yourself to the action quicker. Right, and then you also have a lot of buttons with the keys across the top, your numbers, and they're going to do a couple different effects. So number one is going to adjust your movement speed. So by selecting one and then using the scroll wheel, you can control how fast you move, which is good if you're doing tracking shots of vehicles or things like that. Number two is going to be a field of view adjustment. So I use this mostly for screenshots, like I said. I normally take a good screenshot, I go further away and then increase and then decrease my field of view so it zooms in on the target, and that's how I take my favourite screenshots. And then you also have number three, which then will adjust your focal distance of field of view, and again that is with your scroll wheel, same as the other two. By pressing the number 4 button, you can toggle on and off the ticket counter in the top right, and number 5 serves no function for the admin cam. So then number 6 will then toggle your capture zone overlays, so we can see them or not. 7 is going to toggle your player outlines, so you see enemy or not. 8 is going to toggle the HUD between all, friendly, enemy and off, so each time you press that it's going to switch between. So it's good for if you want to take pictures of things where it's just the guy without the thing, or you just want to see one team or work out where the enemies are left if you're adminning. And then number 9 will toggle name tags, so obviously that's going to be important for admins. So if someone's killing them friendly, you're going to want to know who it is so you can ban or kick them. It's also important to know that with the HUD toggling, you will have a triangle. Up equals alive, and then down means they're either incapacitated or dead. It is also important to note though that in spectator cam, local chat, you can only hear people who are on your team.
Squad lead 2, done some fucking static.
You can't hear anyone else from the other team unless you're in their team. Likewise with squad chats, you only hear your squad. when you enter the admin cam, you're going to be turned invisible, and your player character will disappear completely from the server to anyone else. If you are on a server, when you come back out of admin cam by pressing Shift P again, you'll be returned to the original place that you entered admin cam. However, if you're offline in the range, single player, whatever, then you will appear exactly where your camera is. So obviously be careful of height, because you may fall and die. Yeah, and that is about it for the admin cam. So let's move on to vehicle spawning, shall we? So the next big and exciting command, in my opinion, is vehicle spawning, which isn't something you probably do often on a normal admin server, but it's really fun for messing about, and if you make like machinimas and stuff, it's really good for that. And just exploring and trying out stuff as well, like practicing flying, spawning a helicopter around any map, which is good and nice to do. So the way you do that is you come down to your console command, and the first thing you're going to type out is admin create vehicle, all in one word. And all you're going to do is you could try and work it out and type it out, and essentially you get all these from the Squad SDK, which is the modding tool, and it's where they are in the blueprints folder. If you ever worked on your engine, you go through all the different folders, and that's basically the file you're typing out. But thankfully, or thank God, OWI are amazing for this. They've on the wiki, or probably not even there, it's for someone else, but it might be them. I've written it out, and all you have to do is copy and paste the title. So I'm going to give you a link to that, and I'm going to do it for my example. I'm going to copy out, and we're going to paste the Challenger tank in desert camo, because you can choose the different camouflages. It's one for every vehicle in the game. And what you do is you click paste, and here you go, you have a vehicle. So make sure that whatever you type out, if you're going to look for it manually, that you do _C at the end. And notice you can only do this on the unlicensed servers, and you need to have the feature test admin permission. Or you can do it on a local server or offline, which is what I do it in mostly. And if you want to find any new vehicles in the game, if they're not added to the wiki list, then sadly you're going to have to go and search that yourself. But that is vehicle spawning, nice and simple for you there. Let's move on. Right, so now let's go over all the typical admin stuff and duties. So if you've just been made admin of a server, this is going to be your bread and butter stuff. So we're talking about kicks, bans and unbans, messages, warnings, and chat to admin. They're your main things you're going to use. Before I do that as well, you can do things by name or by ID. Throughout the rest of the video, when that's appropriate, I'll just say, but basically the difference is that normally if you just do it by name, you don't have to do anything. You just do the command, so kick, and then type out their username. So for instance, mine will be Miffidurf. Don't test that, because I don't want to get banned from every server ever. And then by ID, that's using your Steam ID. So that's whether you have a third-party system that tracks IDs, or there's another command further down that lets you look up IDs as well, I believe. So yeah, you can do that. But first one, kick. So this is probably going to be your first go-to if someone does a punishment. You're going to kick them. The way you do that is you want to type out admin kick, and then you type out either their name or Steam ID, and then after that you give them a kick reason. So whether that, so example is potentially 2k in, 1 man in vehicle, things like that. And then the next step up from that is going to be a ban. So the same as kick, admin, ban. You do name, reason, then you do the length of time you ban them for. So that's basically, if you go for 0, that's a permanent ban. 1D is 1 day, 1M is 1 month, so it's for the length of time you want to ban them for. So 1D days, 1M 1 month, 0 permanent. However, I cannot find a command anywhere that using the console commands, the might one to unban someone. So that is going to be a server back-end thing, so it's a bit more awkward. So make sure you're obviously doing your bans for the right reason, and that you don't accidentally permaban someone who just needed 1 day. So yeah, make sure you're doing that properly. So this one's probably the most common one you're going to use, is the message system. You probably always see it if you've played on any server. You get the big yellow messages across. Normally I see this when you're seeding a server and then you finish seeding and you play it go live, they say that. Or for instance, if you see a lot of people doing it, or you just want to give a reminder to the whole server for a certain warning, then you can do that. And that consists of, what you do is you type in admin broadcast, because you're broadcasting a message, and then you just type out your message after. So for instance, whether that's going to be apologise for team killing, things like that. Alright, warning. So this is effectively the broadcast system, but it's directly to one player. And the way you do that is you type in admin warn by ID or name, and then you type in their name, and then you give the warn reason. So that'll be so if that's because we're getting ready to kick someone, we want to give them one last chance. That's how I'd use that for. But obviously each server will have their own rules on how you use that. And the last one is chat to admin. So it's not business in ears because it's not for someone to do. It's chat to you to get your message. That otherwise that would be a public command. This is a chat between the different admins. So it's how you guys can all talk to each other. If you want to send messages to each other easy if you're not in a Discord chat or something like that. And the way you can do that is you just type out chat to admin and the message. And it's the same as all the other chats except only the admins actually see it. So yeah, there you go. That is your typical admin commands. And then now we'll go through all the extra additional commands you might not use as often, but some are still very useful. Some I personally don't find very useful, but some will find each of these useful at some point. So we've gone over all the really common and typical stuff you're going to use as an admin. So now we're going to go into all the other stuff, some little fun bits as well, and I'm going to try and go through these in an order of what I think are not necessarily most important, but what I think are going to be most commonly used, and mostly based off my own experience and own personal opinion. But hopefully that will make sense. But again, timestamps in the description will tell you where each of these are if you're looking for a specific one. So the first one is change speed, or is to change speed. It's not what it's called. It's called admin Slomo, and here's what that lets you do is it's not just a slow-mo. It lets you slow the game down or speed it right up. Really useful for things like me for screenshots. If you want to get something to a certain position faster, you can. Makes it really hard to drive over anything other than double speed though, personally. Or if you want to get everyone to somewhere fast quickly in the server, if you're doing something. And likewise you can do slow motion if you want to do slow motion stuff. So the way you do this is you type out admin slow-mo, one word, that is the command, and then you give the time or the percentage you want to do. So if you want to make everything 2 times speed, you type in 2, 10 times speed 10, and this can go quite high. It's pretty high. I think it, off the top of my head I'm not sure, but I think it can go as high as like 50. And then you can also slow it down. So if you want to do 10% speed, you do 0.1. So it's all percentages to decimal fractions. You know what I mean. If you've ever done that maths at school, you understand. Which I assume most of you will. But yeah, you have some really fun stuff with this and make some really good stuff. So it turns out there are also some commands in Squad that aren't as obvious. They aren't listed on the wiki, but I just found them while checking through the whole bar, just trying to look for anything I've missed. And there's a feature called Demo, or Demo Record, Stop and Play, and it has so much promise. I couldn't describe it to you. I almost feel like I should make its own video. And there's literally zero information about this whatsoever anywhere, so I've done a little bit of research, myself testing to see what I can do. It's not perfect, but we'll go over it. So, it's basically a battle simulator. If you ever played games like Halo, if you ever played the Halo cinema back in the day, like Halo 3 and Reach, where you could save a game and then reload it, and then look in and watch what happened, that's literally what the feature is. And this could be amazing for machinimas. I've got ideas. If my channel ever blows up and I do events, I've got fucking amazing ideas for this. And oh my god, the sparks are flying in my head. But let's just tell you how to do it. Demo record is how you're going to start. So admin demo record, give it a file name, and it's going to start recording all the gameplay for you and everything that's going on. It will save that to the server. However, if you're on a single player, it will save that to your squad files. I'd really love it if they had a client version of this, so you could play in a server and it would download it to your client, so you could use it rather than having to be an admin. I'd love that, but I don't know if they'll do that. Once you've recorded the footage you want, you click demo stop, and that'll stop the recording. And then you do demo play with the file name that you've chosen, and then it will load you up into the video player. Now, from what I can tell, it's a pretty good representation of it. Some of the animations aren't perfect, as you'll see from me throwing the grenade, but it seems to track players fine, the shooting, everything. Just some of the animations aren't quite there. Apparently there used to be, I saw something on the Reddit like 3 years ago about there used to be a feature where the turrets wouldn't load properly. They also vehicles look fine. So you see this HUD here, so we can control that. So this is basically our player. We can control that with the scroll wheel. That will speed up and decrease the speed of the playback. You haven't got any of the controls like you do in the admin cam, where you can zoom in and out, depth of field, things like that. That's not an option, sadly. Using the O key, that will then visually what can you think of, disable and re-enable the HUD, which will be really good for video, and obviously since it's in the middle of the screen. When you're paused though, you can't seem to turn for some reason. So you turn by holding down the right click, which is quite intuitive. Normally you'd expect that. But for some reason when paused you can't turn. I don't understand why. Luckily there's a couple bugs for this. If you want to see a certain bit, I recommend starting just before, because it doesn't seem like things quite load properly right at the start. It seems like it takes a few seconds just for them to all get into place, and I assume that will be amplified when you're recording more entities. And I'm not sure if it's just explosives, but they seem to have a weird thing. So there seems to be, obviously you have the explosive animation, and it seems to be if you click anywhere within the explosive animation is playing, it will then, for the player, for the demo player, it will restart the animation, as you can see here with me playing around with it. And you get some crazy fucking ragdolls as well, because at the same time I was clicking onto there, my character hadn't spawned properly, so then it reacts to a new explosion. So it's not a recorder, I think it's a re-simulator almost, like that's how I think it is, I think is how Total War battles do it as well, if you've ever watched those. So yeah, really interesting feature. Might make me a dedicated video to this, as well as like cinematic things, so let me know what you think about that. Right, so admins can also pause and unpause matches, and the way you carry that out is depending on which one you want to do. So you type in either admin pause match or admin unpause match, and then nothing else in that command, and that will do exactly what it is. And all it will do is it's going to put the match on hold and stop everything where it is. This might be useful for some people, but personally I'm not going to use this very much. And then same with end match. So this is mostly, I think, going to be useful for things like when you're seeding servers, when you want to so if a server's seeded, you want to reset the round, just do admin end match, and then it will go on, it will change to the map. And as opposed to ending, you can simply just restart the match by typing out admin restart match, or likewise you can use change map. The way that works is you go into admin, change map, type it, and then the nice thing is about the console command, it will give you a list of everything. You do have to type out the map name, but really you can just scroll through the list and kind of type out a couple words and it will autofill, which is one of the best things about this system, is the autofill. Personally I use that myself to load up my helicopter testing maps and fly around with them. I often enjoy that. And likewise you can also set the next map. Depending on how your server's set up, I don't think this is mostly useful, because I think most servers from the back end are run on a rotation system for the maps. But if you want to set a specific map next, then you can do this, I guess. And that is just, instead of admin change map, it's admin set next map, and then map name, same as before. By typing out admin kill server, what you do is you're just going to completely end your server from running and shut it down. And by doing one force one. However, if you do this in single player, it will also crash the game and log you out of it. So it's almost like an Alt F4 at the same time. Right, so you can also set the max player count for your server within the game. And what you're going to do for that is you're going to go to admin command, you do set max number of players, and going for the typical server you see nowadays, it's like 78-ish, and then that is the number of max players your server's allowed. You can also, while in-game playing, give someone a cameraman role. You do that by going to admin, add cameraman, and then just give them their name. So that would have given me the role, which would then let me go and fly around in the admin camera, like so, and jettison and eject to my death, if I so wish. You can also force someone's team change by typing out the admin force team change by ID or by normal, and then all that does is you type out their name or their ID, depending on which type you're using. Always valid placement. Now I find this is a really fun system. Basically allows you to place anything anywhere. So for an event or something you're trying to build a really epic super fob with like crazy buildings and phasing through things, then feel free for that. Or for instance, if your server wants to have that for whatever reason, then all you do is you set it on admin or always valid placement, and then 1 will allow it to be always valid and ignore the placement rules for deployables. Or if set it to 0, that will be the default. And then all kits available. This one's good as well, so for certain servers you might be testing things or running things, or for instance if you're recording machinimas and you need someone to have a certain kit but you haven't got enough people in the squad, or like I said, I use it for testing because then you can have your pilot test, always have your pilot kit, or sit down things. Admin, all kits available, and then it's same as before, 1 allows it, 1 enables and 0 disables. And disable vehicle claiming as well. If for whatever reason you want that, it's good for certain things, and it will then set admin vehicle, disable vehicle claiming, 1, 0, enable, disable, same as before. Right, what else have we got? Right, so you can also demote the commander if you need. So for instance, if you're admin in, maybe a commander is, I don't know, being abusive or abusing his power for whatever reason, then you can demote him and type out admin demote commander. Can do this by ID as well, and then just type out their name or ID. Disband a squad as well. So for instance, I don't really know why you'd want to do this, to be honest. I guess if one particular squad just being dicks, you want to split them up. For whatever reason, that can be done, or if you're having some issue where they can't get rid of the squad, all you do is type in admin disband squad, and then you do the team number, so which team you are on, 1 or 2, and that's based on the team screen, and then you do the squad number as well, so whichever squad they are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, blah blah. Right. You can also remove an individual player from a squad, so if they're being, I don't know, maybe if someone's jumping into a squad to try and be abusive to a specific person in there, you can get rid of them, and then that can be done by ID as well, and that is just admin, remove player from squad, type out the name or ID. So you can also list disconnected players, so I think this is probably quite useful for admins. So for instance, if someone does breaks a really big rule on the server and then leaves right before he can get caught by an admin so he can't get banned, what you can do is you can list the disconnected players on the server, see who's left, and you can catch him out still. It's really good for that. And all that requires you to do is admin list disconnected players, and it will list the recently disconnected players and also their IDs as well. Right, so you can also profile the server, do admin profile server, and the description for that. You also set out how many seconds it is to profile for, and then it will start profiling on the server for a fixed length of time, after which the profiling data is saved to disk. So I don't really run servers, I don't really know what that means, but if you're looking for that command, that's how you do it. Trace view toggle as well, you can activate this, so you can just type out trace view toggle and it will run a trace from the center of the screen out to any object and display the information about that object. So I guess maybe it'd be useful for an admin, especially if you're in modern servers and you're not aware of what certain things are, maybe if you want to see what something is, but I mean, really it's a debugging tool, I think, for the devs more than anything. You can set the RAAS seed, which I guess will be useful if you want to have a certain seed on the next map, and what I'll do is admin set RAAS seed, and then you set what seed you actually want. And what I'll do is it will set the seed for RAS maps that are travelled to after the match ends. So for the next one, it will change it, because obviously it's not going to reset your seed. Right, you do a net test on the server. I want that, and you do a start and a stop feature. So you have admin net test start, or admin net test stop, and that's literally just what it do. Just starts doing and prints it out to the client logs. Last one as well is force net update on client saturation. Pretty sure most people aren't going to use this, but it might be serious for people who run their own servers. The way you do that is literally same as everything, admin force net update on client saturation, and then you just do 0 or 1 to enable. And the description for this is, if true, when a connection becomes saturated, all remaining actors that couldn't complete replication will have force net update called on them. Now if you know what that means, then well done to you, but I personally don't. And we also have a large bunch of debug commands, so we're going to go through them from top to bottom, what I think is the most important and useful. So first one, God mode. Everyone loves a good God mode mod, don't they? What you do is you just toggle the God mode on and off, and everyone knows what that means. We also have debug revive, so that's just going to revive you straight from the ground if you're down. Full health, that's going to return you to full health as it says without a medic. And stop bleeding is, as it says, if you're bleeding, it's going to effectively apply bandage to you. And rearm as well. So rearm is going to treat it like you rearmed from an ammo box. So if you've got half a magazine in your weapon, you need to take that out, put a fresh one on as well. It won't rearm that one in there. You can also debug to become the commander, and with that you can also then toggle force no commander cooldown, so it just removes them altogether. And you can also force allow commander actions, and what that's going to do is it means you don't need to be in a hub to do anything, things like that. You can also toggle a small green dot to sit in the center of your screen if you wish. You can also change the server's tick rate if you like by saying set server tick rate and then choosing the FPS you want. And then you can also set the server seconds non-seamless forced, which sets the amount of time in seconds before server travel is forced to be done as non-seamless, and you do that within seconds. And you can also disable vote requirements as well, which is how many players you need in squads and things like that. And lastly, we have debug server exec, which is a debug command for running debug commands on a server, and it says to type in whatever command you want. However, I don't know of any debug commands other than these ones, so I assume there might be some that the devs are aware of. However, I'm not, and I couldn't find any, sadly. So, that there, just going through the list, just to make sure I haven't missed anything. I'm pretty happy. That there is all the possible admin commands you can use in squad. So all we've got left now is the public commands, things that you can do all the time, no matter whether you're an admin or just a player. So, stay tuned for that, because there are some interesting bits in there that may be useful. Thank you. So for the last part of the video, we'll talk about the different public commands. So a public command is something that can be activated by anyone throughout the console command. I'm going to go through them by a list of what I think are most important and most commonly used to the least. And let's just start with it. So, most important, I think, is the command respawn. So, what that essentially does is it forces your character to die and give up straight away. It does count as a suicide, obviously, because your respawn time, but it's really useful for things. So, if you spawn in the wrong place by accident, you need to go somewhere. So, if you accidentally spawn at main, but you're wanted at the fob, and there's no heli, you're not on a heli map, so there's no way getting back up and then running, you want to respawn, especially if you're a medic or an MG, you don't have a grenade, and you can't kill yourself. Or you're in the main, so it won't work anyway. So it's really useful for that. The way you do that is you literally just type in respawn. So all of these commands you'll notice you don't type in admin. That's the biggest difference, you just type in the command itself. There's also a command you can run called SQBugIt. And what that's going to do is it's going to take the output of the current location, orientation and text file and log, and it's going to put that all into a file, and then it's also going to take a screenshot as well of what you've done. And so I'm going to describe it test 01, I've done another test before, and it's going to take you straight to that folder that you'll see on screen now. It will show you all the details, which is really good for bug reporting. You can hand that straight over to the devs. Next one is disable HUD and set HUD widgets enabled and disabled. So I've linked these two together because this command is most people want to use it, but it's a pointless command in itself. So I'll talk about it first. Disable UI or remove the UI components from the screen, and then disable set HUD widgets enabled. 1 for enabled, 0 for disabled. Set the visibility for all HUD widgets. However, an easier way of doing this is if you just go escape, look to the bottom right, click on the eye, and that will basically give you no HUD. And that's how I do it. It's a much more simple way of doing it, personally, if you ask me. That's how I do it. Right, high res shot. Right, this is a useful one, I think, for people if some people want to do things, especially if you're running a lower resolution on your game. Just type out high res shot altogether, and then what you do is you can either use a resolution or a multiplier. So whether that's if you want to do a 4K screenshot, you do 3840 times 2160, or you do high res shot 4, for example. That's the multiplier for that. So that's how you want to do it. And then normally they'll be saved into your app data local files in the squad game saved screenshots. That's where they'll save those. Alright, so list commands as well. So if you don't want to have to come back to this video every time you want to learn a new command or use one, you can list all the commands. It's literally just list commands. You can also show command info, which is also going to be useful. What I'll do is this will then show command info, type out the command name, and then that's going to print out any of the details of the particular command you're talking about. You can also then change teams. I personally use this for if I am going in admin cam and recording something, recording a game, and I want to jump between. So if I want to listen to the people I'm against and I'm following the enemy, what I'll do is I'll quickly use command, and if you just type in CHJNG, it will then autofill to change teams. It's a lot faster than coming out of the menu and manually doing it and then closing the menu. You can literally just do this and you're done. Really quick. That's my best way of doing that. That's my best use of it, sorry. And then you have the chat options. So rather than do it through the menu, you can do it like this. You can do either chat to all, chat to team, or chat to squad. And that is literally just say it out as you want, and then you just type your message after. You can also have a thing for create rally point if you want to do that rather than through the radial menu. You may also approve vehicle claims this way if you feel like it. You can also create a squad doing this, and then it will do create squad and then type out the name if you want for your squad. And if you want to see a list of all the possible maps for your mode or server, type out list maps. You can also force yourself to disconnect to the menu with the admin console. You can also give up, so if you're down, you can give up by using the console commands. You can also force yourself to join a squad, choose the squad to join, and you can either do this with name or ID. So the name of the squad or the ID, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can then also leave your squad through the admin commands. You can then list players on the server, this would be useful for things like if you got team killed by someone, well, not necessarily team killed, I'll tell you, but you know someone else doing something, you want to work out who's on there and catch their name without going through the normal menu, I guess. Then you can just do this, list players, it will show you everyone, and it also give you their IDs, starting IDs as well. And then like listing players, you can also list the different squads and also their index numbers. You can also set your screen resolution for this, so if you do r.setRes and type out whatever resolution you want your screen to be set to, it will do that. You can also record heat maps, which is a bit more of a confusing system to use. I'm not really familiar with it, but if you understand what this is, essentially take the resolution in meters. A heat map of stat data for the map requires unit to be turned on. And what you can do is you can do record heat map, and you can type out your X step size, your Y step size, then your height offset, your BU's raw values, and then you have to enable or disable them, position wait time, and file name. If that makes sense to any of you, then you're winning, enjoy, but personally I really don't understand it. You can also show what next map's coming up, just by typing out show next map, it will show you what's coming up next. You can also invite certain people to your squad, so SL invite member, that's going to invite someone to your squad by their name, whoever's in the game. You can also bring up a bunch of stats on the screen. You can do stat FPS to do a frame rate, you can do stat unit, which will draw game, draw and GPU times on the screen, and a stat unit graph, which is the same as before but with an on-screen time graph. So that there was your 30+ minute comprehensive guide to every possible command you could ever want to know in Squad. Now I did leave out one or two that will appear on the menu purely because they just don't work or don't do anything. So if you discover any, then that's fine, or if I have genuinely missed out something, please let me know and I'll try and address that. I also hope you enjoyed the filler clips in between where I added in bits of gameplay. Pretty much every single bit of gameplay is from one of my videos, other than one admin cam stuff I got a little bit of extra. So if you found some fun clips you saw there, go scout all my videos and see if you can find them. I'll leave some links down in the description to a bunch of videos as well that I like that had clips in here. So go have a look at that, go have a look on my channel, find something you enjoy. But if you really enjoyed the video or got something out of it, I'll really appreciate if you guys subscribe. give you some comments what I should do for the next one, if I should do more tutorials or other kinds of videos. And like I said, I'd love to be able to try some of these out and do some other bits and make the channel better basically. So please, if you enjoyed it, stick around, come around for more. And thank you guys for watching. If you stuck through for the whole 30 minutes, hopefully you learned something. See you guys later.